does the Torah spend so much time talking about leprosy? Scabs and bright spots and oozing sores. Ooh. We don't deal with that in the body of Messiah anymore, so why does the Torah spend so much time talking about it? Or maybe we do deal with that. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 3 of the double Torah portion, Tazria Metzora. Let's go to chapter 13 of the book of Vayikra, or Leviticus, and begin reading with verse number 1. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying, when a man has on the skin of his body a swelling, a scab, or a bright spot, and it shall become on the skin of his body like a leprous infection, then he shall be brought to Aaron the priest, or to one of his sons the priest. And the priest shall look at the infection on the skin of the body, and if the hair of the infection is turned white, and the infection appears to be deeper than the skin of his body, it is a leprous infection, and the priest shall look at him and pronounce him unclean. We'll talk about things in basically 3 different areas, but let's first define exactly what it is that we're talking about. We're talking about a class of issues known as Metzora. Metzora is about whether something is clean, tahor, or another better way to perhaps say it in our understanding, for our use, or whether something is unclean, tameh, or as we might say, not for our use. So we're talking about our usefulness, whether something is able to be put into practice or used, whether an individual is available for usefulness to Yah and his kingdom. Clean and unclean does not always regard sinful behavior, whether we are sinning or not sinning. Definitely, sinful behavior will make you unclean. But when one is unclean, it's not always because of sin. It could be because of some body issues, some body flow. For example, a woman who is in the flow of her menstrual cycle, she is unclean. She's not sinning. She's just simply unclean. And for her husband and for other situations spiritually, at least as the Torah describes, she's not for use. She needs her set apart time. This is about her. This is not about her ministering to others. This is about Yah ministering to her and her to him. That being said, there is a specific area that we're dealing with here in chapter 13. It's erroneously translated as leprosy, which is more like Hansen's disease. This is a disease that gnaws away at the digits of your fingers and toes, your end of your nose, your ears, etc. This was introduced to the Middle East in the days of Alexander the Great, a long period of time after this was written. We're not talking about the classic symptoms of leprosy here. It's sarat in Hebrew. Sarat is a very particular malady, and it's rooted inwardly in a spiritual issue. The spiritual issue inwardly, so that it is revealed to us, it shows up in the flesh. This is letting us know something's wrong on the inside, and it's not, a enzyme issue or a blood issue or a nutrition issue of some sort. It's spiritual in nature. The classic example is Miriam, the sister of Moshe. When she chided Moshe and accused him, Yah covered her in the cloud, and when the cloud lifted, she was struck with sarat. She was separated and quarantined from the camp for 7 days until this malady was healed. So again, we're talking about a class of issues in the class of Metzora. Metzora is rooted in the word Metzora. Slight difference there. Metzora references one who is a talebearer, a gossiper, one who uses slanderous speech, such as Miriam. So the classic understanding of Sirat is that when one has been stricken with this skin malady, bumps, bright spots, hairs the wrong color in the middle of a scab, etc., it is because they have been using their mouth in a slanderous way, dividing brothers against brothers, slandering, accusing, maligning. Such a person, because they divide the body, they themselves are divided from the body, and they are quarantined until this issue is resolved inwardly and healing can become evidenced. Now let's deal with the three parts. Number one, you and I are not allowed to self-diagnose. We don't look at ourselves in the mirror and say, I shouldn't have said that, but they'll get over it. They know they shouldn't take me seriously. When someone is awkward around us or they're shying away from us, it's because we said something. It's because they've heard that we've shared other information with someone else about them. We can say, well, hey, it wasn't intended to be wrong. I didn't mean anything by it. I was just kidding. We can use all of those explanations, but if the wound has been perpetrated, then we're guilty. And if we try to self-diagnose, we will try to explain away our issue. And so any of us can say things that are out of turn. Any of us can get angry and say something that we shouldn't say. We're talking about not just an errant word here and there every rare once in a while. We're talking about someone who, as a practice, is divisive, they're slanderous, they're harsh in their terms, they are apt for temper tantrums, diatribes, ranting, dividing, foaming at the mouth, and just going off on people. Gossipers, talebearers, people here they come and they're going to have something to say about so-and-so. Those people will not self-diagnose themselves accurately and deal accurately and powerfully with their issues. They will explain it away. This is why a priest, someone in authority, someone with an ability to use the word as a microscope and get real with someone and say, this is more than skin deep. Your issue goes beyond a rare slip of the tongue, saying something that you shouldn't have. If you're constantly needing to correct somebody and saying, why did you say that? Why did you do that? They need to be set apart from the body. There has to be a reproof, a rebuke. It doesn't fit in current society. We're so afraid we're going to offend someone and hurt their feelings. But then again, we're allowing them to roughly deal with others and their relationships, and they are offending other people. If I had a pet that was apt to scratch or bite, I would have to muzzle the thing or deal with that so that it's not going to hurt someone. Once someone has been diagnosed, Rav Shaul says if it's a simple activity and they refuse to repent, set them outside the camp until they become broken. And then when they are broken, go to such a one, and you who are spiritual, restore them. So there is this need then for the priest, as his proper conduct would be, to go out to the outer limits of the camp and inspect those that were quarantined there to see if there had been healing. Not just to simply bring them back in the camp, but through a process. So we're not allowed to self-diagnose. We're not allowed to treat ourselves. We must receive healing. We must receive counseling. We must be held accountable. We need someone to walk with us, delve into our issues, find out why it is that we are like we are. Which leads us then to this third point, and that is that we must be even compassionate with those that have been in such situations. Hebrews chapter 13. It says, and so Yeshua also suffered outside the gate to set apart the people with his own blood. Let us then go to him outside the camp bearing his reproach. Yeshua went outside the camp to heal those that were quarantined there. We need to do the same. May God bring healing to his body. We'll talk further on these things tomorrow, and until then, shalom.